Good morning. My name is Eric Rasmussen. I'm the Director of Government Relations with Charter. At this time, we're going to play the national anthem. So if you please rise so we can face the flag and we'll play our national anthem. Now, join with me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may take your seats. Well, students, we are really excited to be here today, partnering with A&E and the History Channel to give special recognition to our veterans. I would like to give a big thanks to Principal Clark and Miss Gunther and Miss McLeod. We really thank them for opening Cole Elementary and working behind the scenes to help us present this program to you today. We really appreciate the opportunity to be with all the super students, teachers, and staff. Go Cougars! I would also like to take this time to thank the following people. Wyoming State Representative Lynn Hutchings. She is a United States Air Force veteran. She has a very special guest with her today, her husband, who is also an Air Force veteran. Representative James Byrd. He represents this district by making tough decisions at the Wyoming legislature, and he's right over here. County Commissioner Chairman Troy Thompson. He has shown a personal interest in getting to know and see members of the 10th Special Forces Group train and operate in Fort Carson, Colorado. The mayor of the capital city, Cheyenne, Mayor Richard Kaysen. Mayor Kaysen is a U.S. Army veteran, and I did talk to the mayor this morning, and I would like students, and if you don't ask, I will ask, but Mayor Kaysen brought a picture with him, and that'll talk a little bit about what he did in the Army. I have personally seen Mayor Kaysen take time out of his tremendously busy schedule to recognize veterans in our community. Mayor, thank you. We also have Colonel Larry Bartlebort. He is the director of the Wyoming Veterans Commission. After I served on active duty, I had the pleasure of serving with Colonel Bartlebort in the Wyoming Army National Guard. All you do for veterans, and thanks for being here today. Thanks to each of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to help recognize with the students at Cole Elementary, Charter, A&E, and the History Channel the importance of honoring veterans and learning about the history of Veterans Day. At this time, we have students from Cole who will share with us the history of Veterans Day. Ms. McLeod has worked with the intermediate and the secondary students to help them learn their parts, and we really appreciate this. So now the students will read their parts of the history of Veterans Day.
World War. I know at the time at the Great War officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 1919 in the Palace of Versailles outside the town of Versailles, France. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier when the town of Versailles, France, seized 7 months. Germany went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11, 1918 is generally regarded as the end of the war, to end all wars. In November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11 as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: to us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroes of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations. The original concept for the celebration was for a day observed with parades and public meetings, and a brief suspension of business beginning at 11 a.m. The United States Congress officially recognized the end of World War I when it passed concurrent resolution on June 4, 1946. With these words, whereas the 11th of November marks the cessation of the most destructive, sanguinary, and far-reaching war in human annals, and the reception by the people of the United States of peaceful relations with other nations, which we hope may never again be served, and whereas it is fitting that the recurring anniversary of this date should be commemorated with Thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designed to perpetuate peace through good will and mutual understanding between nations, and whereas the legislators of 27 of our states have already declared November 11th to be a legal holiday. Therefore, be it resolved by the Senate, the House of Representatives, concurring that the President of the United States is requested to issue a proclamation calling upon the officials to display the flag of the United States on all government buildings on November 11th and inviting the people of the United States to observe the day in schools and churches or other suitable places with appropriate ceremonies of friendly relations with all other peoples. Congress approved an act on May 13, 1938, which made the 11th of November in each year a legal holiday, a day to be dedicated to the cause of the world peace and to be thereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day was primarily a day to set aside to honor veterans of World War I. But in 1954, after World War II had required the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen in the nation's history, after American forces had fought aggression in Korea. Congress, at the urging of the veteran service organizations, amended the Act of 1938 by striking out the word armistice and inserting in its place the word veterans. With the approval of this legislation on June 1st, 1954, November 11th became a day to honor American veterans of all wars.
In order to ensure proper and widespread observance of this anniversary, all veterans organizations and the entire citizenry will wish to join hands in a common purpose toward this end. I am designating the Administrator of Veterans Affairs as Chairman of a Veterans Day National Committee, which shall include such other persons as the Chairman may select, and which will coordinate at the national level necessary planning for the observance. I am also requesting the heads of all departments and agencies of the executive branch of the government to assist the National Committee in every way possible.
Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th, regardless of what day of the week on which it falls. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Day to November 11th not only preserves the historical significance of the date, but helps concentrate on the important purpose of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good.
Thank you, students. You did an excellent job. stop for somebody that was designated to read but couldn't read, so thank you very much for your wonderful job. Many people often confuse Memorial and Veterans Day. Both holidays were established to recognize and honor the men and women who have worn the uniform of the United States Armed Forces. But Memorial Day, which is observed on the last Monday of May, was originally set aside as a day for remembering and honoring military personnel who died in the service of their country, particularly those who died in battle or as a result of wounds sustained in battle. While those who died are also remembered on Veterans Day, which is observed, as we learned, November 11th, Veterans Day is intended to thank and honor all those who served in the military in wartime or peace. In fact, Veterans Day is largely intended to thank living veterans for their service, to acknowledge that their contribution to our national security are appreciated, and to underscore the fact that all those who served, not only those who died, have sacrificed and done their duty. At this time, I would ask all military veterans to please stand. Join with me a round of applause for our veterans. There is no thank you big enough for all the sacrifices you endured serving our great country, but thank you. At this time, we're going to have a question and answer session. And like I asked earlier, kids, I think we might start with maybe a question to Mayor Kaysen, and he could tell us a little bit about the pictures he brought.
Thank you, Rich. Can you hear me okay? First of all, what a great representation, saying the national, or standing for the national anthem and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. You did a fantastic job. Really great to do that. I would like to introduce, well, first of all, as Eric said earlier, everybody probably knows a veteran, right? And that veteran could be who? Army, Navy, and usually it's a lady or a guy, right? But I'd like to introduce you to another veteran that it was my best friend in life, okay? And her name is Tony. And Tony was a German Shepherd dog, okay? And Tony and I worked together when I served in Vietnam. And she was what they call a scout dog. And because dogs their sense of smell, hearing, their eyesight is much stronger than human beings. So she and I worked together as a team. There's a lot of dogs right now that are serving in our military today that served in all of the wars that this country has been involved in, and clear back to the Civil War, and even before that in history. So again, I am very proud of my relationship with Tony, and again, another veteran that we honor on Veterans Day. So I just wanted to make sure that we recognize our friends, the canines, or the dogs that also serve in our country. So thank you for that. If there is a question, I'm happy to answer.
How about you right in the middle? Speak real loud.
Do you still have the dog?
I wish I had a dog. I have to remember, Vietnam was a long time ago, like about 40 years ago. So unfortunately, Tony did pass away. She did pass away. But she's still in my heart. Still love her.
How about you in the pink?
How did she die?
She got old. So that's the best answer I can give you, all right?
How about you right here if you look behind us, we have people in uniform, and then we have some that aren't in uniform, but they were standing when I asked if they were veterans. Maybe we have some questions for everybody in the back. And I know I did talk to Representative Hutchings, and I was real curious about her husband's service, and maybe he could give us and tell us maybe what he did in the Air Force. Sure.
Sorry, I was just gonna move it
That way
forward.
you won't have to turn around.
There you go. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Hutchings, and I joined the Air Force in 1976. I was active in the Air Force Reserve, later on in the active duty Air Force, and then I was active in the Guard. And I started out as a medic in the Air Force, and we have another lady that back there in the flight suit, and we did the same thing. And she's on 130s, and I was on what was called a C7 Caribou. And I'm sure Mayor Kaysen probably remembers what C7 Caribous look like. So I did that for a number of years, and then I became an Air Force navigator in the KC-135s. And in 135s, the KC, it was built, most of them back in the 50s, well, all of them back in the 50s and 60s. And they carry gas and refuel other airplanes in the air. And most of your cars carry about 16 gallons. This airplane carried 33,000 gallons of fuel. And it had what's called air refueling pumps, and it could fill up other airplanes, and they could just keep going, and they wouldn't have to stop for gas. And after that, I was in research, and we tested cruise missiles. And I don't know if you know what cruise missiles are, but they're used in combat. And later on, I went to a non-flying job. I was in the Pentagon doing 9/11. And so that's what I did. Nothing very exciting. So, any questions? You go. Go ahead.
Do you got a dog?
Do I have a dog? Okay. What about the young man back here? That's right. Stand up so we.
How big was the boat?
How big was the boat? The airplane? The airplane itself weighed 100, and the first one 105,000 pounds. And later on, they put new engines on it. It was 125,000 pounds, but when it was full of gas, it was 325,000 pounds. So that's a big airplane. And it had 4 engines on it, and a crew of 4, so usually 4 people were on board. Do I have an airplane? No, what I do, I'm also a pilot. I'm a flight instructor at the airport, so if any of you would like to come by and see the airplane, you can. But usually I instruct on like 3 different airplanes and it's at the airport, but I don't own my own airplane. So. Yes, sir. It was a jet. The KC-135 was a jet. They had 4 jet engines. I think you were next. It was big. It was like an airliner. That's how big it was. So, no, it was a lot bigger than that. It was like, say, 100 feet, 150 feet long. I can't remember the exact dimensions anymore. So, tell you what, I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Rasmussen. So let somebody else get up.
Thank you. Colonel Bartlebort. Good morning, kids. Good morning. I served in the active Army and the Army Reserve and the Army National Guard, and got to go to a lot of different places all over the world.
and every job I had was better than the last one. And that's why the job I do right now is so enjoyable and so important. We help connect Wyoming veterans with their state and federal benefits, VA healthcare, and VA claims. How many of you have a hero in your life? Well, I want to introduce you to one of my heroes. And I like to say that our World War II veterans are the greatest generation because truly they saved the world. When you study history later in your school life, you'll learn about World War II when the Axis powers were trying to take over the world and America led the efforts to free the world. And I want to introduce you to one of the men who paid for that freedom. Paul Niss was a pilot, and he spent a year and a half in a prisoner of war camp. And I'd like to introduce Paul, and I'd like you to stand up for this hero.
You're not kids. How you doing? My name is Paul Niss. Actually, I was in the Navy in World War II. I joined the Air Force shortly after I got out after the war ended. And was a flight instructor in P-51s for a few years, or 3 months, I guess. Then I went to Korea. Zigged when I should have zagged and got my tail shot off. But other than that, there wasn't much experience. It's nice to see all these young faces. That includes all you older ones. But I'm not much of a public speaker, but I'll answer any questions you got. And I'm thinking of one you're going to ask first, and I'm not going to answer. Go ahead.
How about you right here?
My dad.
I'm hard to
You
hear.
know my dad? Well, my dad's dad, Robert.
When I grow up, I'm gonna be a Navy just like you.
I got one chance to up.
How about you right there?
Did you know Robert? Did you know Robert? What? Robert.
Yes, I knew several Roberts.
My dad's a Robert. When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut.
That's a good ambition, and I think it's a good field.
Kids, this will be our last question because your time has ended and then the next part of the school will come in for theirs.
How long were you in the Navy?
How long were you?
Year and a half.
Well, kids, thank you for all your questions. Thank you for reading. And veterans, thank you.